Hey guys, it's Oluchi for Ways Breakfast. Thanks for always tuning in. Our research has shown that you're probably not subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you never miss out on our latest content and stay in the loop with all things Ways. If the channel grows, it means more great content for you guys. So hit that subscribe button now.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Uti Elu, and today I'm joined in studio by my none other new partner in crime, Franca. The gods that be have tied us together on Ways.
I'm telling you.
How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
I'm loving the outfit, the combo, the
Looking
little bit of
different
coral
today,
beads in there.
Just,
It's working.
it's working.
Yeah.
I don't want to think of Nigerian problem.
You can't. You can't. When you exist in Nigeria right now, I think all you need to focus on is the goodness of God in your life. However that has manifested, that's what you just need to keep focusing on. You need to keep focusing on, well, whatever your faith is, you need to hold on to the promises that it holds for you. Because, as I was coming here this evening, I saw a message, one of my groups that I'm in, my friend said, what's it called now? That they've increased the MPR again. So that means interest rates are about to go up. Like, to be honest, I always try to be, or aim to be positive. But right now, I have to admit that it's tough. It's coming from
Uti,
all
if you are complaining,
sides.
I look up to you when I'm thinking of you.
No, I know, right? Because you try to say, let me do glass half full. But it's also really tough. I saw, like I said, I saw the increase in NPR. I saw the potential hike in electricity tariff. So, it's...
I feel it's going to go up too.
Yeah, it's the combination right now. I was a child when SAP happened in the 80s, but it's starting to give those vibes of...
Trust me, what's happening
everything
now,
all
SAP
at
was even
once.
better.
Yeah. Everything all at once. So it is much. And
I see parents who have to pay fees.
Oh, I'm a parent. I pay the fees. So like I said, it's a bit much. Someone today that had a shop, she was lamenting about how she's on band A and, the price is so much. I said, but you're getting the power. She says, yeah, she doesn't have to use her gen. But the truth is, everybody right now is feeling the pinch in one way or the other. So
yeah, because there's no business.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting time. That's all I can say. So, like I said, whatever your
gives you joy right now.
Yeah, whatever gives you joy, whatever your faith helps you to hold on to, you just need to find something because. Yeah, find something to focus your eyes on. That's all I can say. How's your day?
Fine. I've had a very good week, in fact.
Awesome.
I've been very positive, right frame of mind.
I love
having the right people around me.
I love it. That's another very important thing.
Oh yeah, having the right people.
You have to have the right kind of people around you. Once you have people who, like I said, it's tough all the time. When you have glass half empty people around you, it drains the little you are trying to preserve.
Exactly.
So you got to be very, very careful about who you have around you. So, in spite of all that is happening in Nigeria, you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, buy data, please, on our behalf. And subscribe to our official Upgrade TV. Click the subscribe button now, like and share the link, and don't definitely watch Ways Alone. So it's our ladies' night out, and we'll be looking at exploring the effects of Nigeria's flooding crisis. And here's what we found as today's quote. Most floods are caused by man, not weather, deforestation, levee construction, erosion, and overgrazing all result in the loss of ecosystem services. And that's by Paul Hawke. Now, when we open the phone lines, we'd love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's take a quick break and let's see what we found in the news. Please stay with us. So you're still watching Ways. Today is National Punctuation Day. It is celebrated on September 24th every year. It's a day dedicated to highlighting the importance of punctuation in written communication. Punctuation marks help to clarify meaning and improve readability and enhance the overall quality of writing. Many educators and language enthusiasts use this day to host activities, contests, and discussions about the nuances of punctuation marks like commas, periods, and apostrophes. It is a great time to brush up on your punctuation skills. My dear Franca, how are you with punctuation?
Question mark.
I love it.
My best.
I love it. Yeah, there. It took me a minute. I was like, question mark. I didn't realize I asked the question. Come on. So punctuation marks for me. So I am one of those language enthusiasts. I am the person I've learnt over the last 10 years or so not to be that annoying English mom
Teacher.
that corrects everybody. But really and truly, when I see an apostrophe in the wrong place, my eye twitches a little bit. See how people don't know the difference between it's, as in it apostrophe S, and ITS? Just grammar in general. I know we're talking punctuation today, but we see it, for me, I see it manifest a lot I see it as evidence of the degradation of our education sector. Because today, and social media doesn't help. All the abbreviations
don't help.
So you see bean, and bean. So people don't know the difference. They just use anyone as you see it spelled. B-E-A-N, B-E-E-N, B-E-I-N-G, on, join. Cooperate, anyhow you see it to spell it.
In fact, and they sound it, the way they even sound it now.
Yep.
T-pain.
Like, to be honest, let me show you how I'm old. That T-pain is today. I saw it for the first time.
In fact, it was yesterday I heard it for the first time. I didn't even think you were going to get it. When I heard it, I
saw it for the first time today. I'm like, this is a thing? Yeah.
I was asking. It was even Mercy that told me. I was like, what is this? She's like, don't you know? I was like, no. And she said, you know what, Prison Break? I said, whoa, that was many years ago.
Yeah.
And she said, the T-pain guy,
the way they connect the dots with these things, like I legit have to have a young person on speed dial. Like, who's your Gen Z interpreter? You need somebody on speed dial. You need to put them on retainer so that when you see certain things,
you'll be like, who is telling you this?
What was the one that one time?
They play.
No, it wasn't they play. It was. Oh God, it will come to me. I remember they were saying it. No cap. I've been no cap. I had to ask. I said, please explain it to the uninitiated because me don't know what you people are talking about. But I think on a serious note, for me with punctuations, I think that's the saddest part. I was talking to someone yesterday who was talking about a young person, very accomplished young person in terms of being dedicated to developing themselves. But the person failed IELTS so woefully, and it was on the writing part. And it's all of these things. So I think it's good that we raise awareness of these because people take it for granted. Now there's, what's that thing now? Editor or word checker, autocorrect, all of those things, right? So people also don't feel like, sometimes young people feel like I don't need to know these things. But you will find yourself in circumstances that, where technology is not available to save you. So even if you decry the education sector, please read a book. If you read a book, you learn.
You would understand, yes.
So
you get to know
these
these
are some
things.
of the things that I think are very,
True,
very
I
important.
agree.
So what did you find for us in the news?
I don't want to discuss Nigerian problem, but
we are here now.
We're here. We have to do it.
We still live in Nigeria.
So why federal government must end fuel subsidy now? Dangote. The president and chief executive of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has called on the federal government to end fuel subsidy completely. He said the removal must help determine the actual petrol consumption in the country, as he confirms ownership of 2 oil blocks in the upstream sector with an expected production date of next month. Dangote also stated that the fuel production from his $20 billion mega refinery in Lagos will help ease pressure on the Naira. The refinery can refine 650 barrels of crude oil. Speaking in a 26-minute interview with Bloomberg Television in New York on Monday, monitored by our correspondent, Dangote said, now is the right time to end fuel subsidy.
Mm-hmm. That's
a no cap.
Touche. That's such a loaded gun. I mean, this fuel subsidy conversation, it's not a today conversation, and it's certainly not going anywhere anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But the truth of it is, we do need to end it, because on that side it has its own ramifications. But the truth of it is that if we allow market forces to determine the price, which is what fuel subsidy ending would do, we will level up at maybe 1.2, 1.3, which is where we are now.
But my thing is, I don't want to see this from a place of selfishness or self-centeredness, because why is he fighting about it now?
Oh, I agree. Oh, I didn't want to go down that road. But
that's the only thing I see here.
Once something then gets to benefit you,
now
you're talking. Like I said, he's now the new whistleblower. Now he's opening the bum of the whole industry, all in and of itself by himself. But I mean, it's just the catch-22 that we find ourselves in. That's really what it is. So my headline says, medical experts caution against self-medication and abuse of antibiotics. Now, this story stood out for me. I mean, I'm very much, I grew up, my mother was in the medical profession, so I grew up with a lot of knowledge around antibiotics and the risks around it. I learned at a very young age, if the dose is 3 days or 5 days or 7 days or 10 days, doesn't matter how you're feeling, my mother will make you take those medicines. And she always used to explain, you have to complete the dose. You don't want to create this antimicrobial resistance, which is what the story is talking about. So this is a sensitization, a one-day sensitization product that was held in Enugu by Winifred Madubuko. She's a PhD student at a university in the UK, and she was running a grassroots intervention program to try and raise awareness of antimicrobials and promote the responsible use of antibiotics. So the AMR, that's the antimicrobial resistance, is actually a global health threat, severely undermining the effectiveness of antibiotics to combat infections and diseases. So the fact is that when you take antibiotics, when you take it willy-nilly, you're allowing the viruses, bacteria, because antibiotics are for bacteria. Yes. You allow the bacteria to essentially evolve to be resistant to that antibiotics, and then when that strain spreads, then it means that when a person gets sick and then takes the antibiotics, it's not effective. So we need to keep raising this awareness. It needs to be. I've done a couple of podcasts around this particular topic and the resistance and how it affects us. So we keep seeing that even in the types of malaria medicines that we take, they're having to get stronger and stronger and stronger, because everybody just, what's that one that people take all the time that I never realized was an antibiotic? Flagyl.
Flagyl, okay.
Your tummy is paining you a little bit. Flagyl. You think you have a running stomach? Flagyl. All of these things, we never quite understand the impact for the collective, right? And because we don't have enough controls in place right now around how drugs are dispensed, I know it has greatly improved. You go to a lot of pharmacies these days, there are certain drugs that if you don't have a prescription, they won't sell to you, but that's not the experience right across the country. So invariably, if pharmacy A won't sell to you, pharmacy B will
sell. Yes.
So because we don't have those controls in place, it is still very possible to buy a lot of drugs that should really only be available to you on prescription. So well done to Winifred Madubuko for raising this awareness and carrying out this type of thing. I think that we all have a responsibility. This is, for me, civic duties that they've taken this on in Enugu State, and I hope that more and more people in the medical profession that have this knowledge will take the time out to share that knowledge and try and sensitize as many people as possible. We'll certainly use the Ways platform to do that. So today, we will take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll jump right into today's topic. Please stay with us.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future.
Yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Welcome back to the show. Tonight we will be talking about one of the many problems Nigeria faces. It is no longer news that some parts of Nigeria are currently facing serious flooding. From the rural villages to bustling cities, the impact is profound, leaving many people struggling to cope with the aftermath. Tonight we'll dive deep into how these floods are reshaping lives, how families are adjusting their budgets to prepare for the unpredictable waters, and how internally displaced persons are enduring immense hardship as they seek safety and stability. As we've seen in recent months, Nigeria has been grappling with a severe flood crisis impacting countless communities and lives. From devastating homes to disrupting livelihoods, the effect of these floods are far-reaching and often overwhelming. Recall that the 2024 revised budget earmarked 1.653 billion for flood control, yet only 1.2 of this has been spent, raising questions about the state's preparedness and commitment to addressing this recurrent issue. Since the rainy season started in Nigeria, floods have caused 269 deaths and displaced 641,127 people, according to the data from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, as of September 15, 2024. Now, the northern region of the country has been most affected, and tonight we'll explore how many Nigerians are coping with these challenges, particularly how they budget their finances to prepare and react to flooding. So, I think today's conversation for me, it stood out because I'm sad to say that I watch a lot more foreign media than Nigerian media. So the way I consume news is I use an app that aggregates news from all the regions that I select, and it just shows me different stories. So I remember it must have been sometime last week, early last week, I think, when I saw the stories of flooding. And, you know, there's a way a picture will come on the news. You'll be so sure it's not your country. And so I remember that morning, I looked up and I saw the water and I said, where did they flood again? Because it just looked so devastating. And then I focused on the headlines and I saw Borno State and I thought, in Nigeria. And I think that one of the things that made me want to sort of have a discussion around this topic was, you know how you go to work or you're on social media and all the celebrity things happening, you don't need to go far. Once you open Instagram, it's flashing on your homepage and all of that. And I'm like, how is it that this is happening in Nigeria and nobody has mentioned, oh, did you hear about the flooding in Borno? You know, to be fair, Nigerians are going through a lot. So sometimes you might say, the one on my doorstep is enough for me. I don't want to know everybody to your tent, so Israel fair for yourself. But to see that this part of Nigeria, and this is already, I mean, Borno is in the northeast of Nigeria. They've gone through the effects of insurgency and Boko Haram for, I think, about, 15 plus years now? So that part of the country has really been through a lot. So when I saw that was where the flooding, these waters, and you know, there's this mindset sometimes about the north, it's just dry, it's arid, it's everything. So, you know, flooding is not the first thing that comes to mind. Yes. So I saw it and I thought to myself,
how? First time, what happened? How did it get this bad?
Yes. So I'm now listening to the story and they're talking about how the Alao Dam burst and millions of people are displaced. I think at that time, the reported death toll was about 34 people. And in my mind, I see people just die in Nigeria like chickens.
Like chickens, and nothing is done. So you see people die, and people have lost their properties, they've been displaced, and the government hasn't said anything about any of that.
You know, to even be fair,
give them rice.
They will always say something. No, this one, I think I saw an interview with Governor Zulum, yes. But the truth of it is, even if the government comes to say something, millions of people are out of their homes, right? So the flood has happened. So the first thought for me is, okay, what's disaster response? And I think that the stories that I saw, and this may be because they were not from Nigerian media outlets, I think they were from an African, one of the Francophone countries' media outlet. That was where the story was being reported from. But of course, you see things like the UN response. Okay. You see things like Save the Children. You will be looking for Nigeria's own inside there, right? But I don't even want to
dwell on that.
Nitpick on that. For me, just the humanitarian angle of it, to see that a place that was already struggling with internally displaced persons because of Boko Haram, you're now adding the people that even have house. Water now drove them out of their houses.
So you see, I'm just thinking, what's the psychological effect? So is it that these people don't think that these things affect them mentally?
Before you even get to mentally, let's even talk of physically. Like the fact that these people now, of course, it's wiped out not only homes, it's wiped out farms. We already have a food security challenge in Nigeria, right? More so in that part of the country as well. So it came in, is flooded, is taking people's livelihoods, people's homes, source of food. I understand that 2 of the largest grain markets in Makadi were also wiped out. So people who sell grains, who sell sugar, who sell cement, everything went livestock with the water. Exactly. So when you look at it from there, I think the government's initial response was to set up about 36 camps for IDPs. I think they repurposed, they use schools. As with any natural disaster, you find, places that can hold large number of people, stadium, schools, that kind of thing. So they created about 36 IDP camps, and they've put people in there and trying to, of course, no matter how much in these types of situations, there's never surplus. The truth is there's never enough, right? Because you need fresh, clean water. Even though it's a flood, it's not water you can go out and just put up inside and drink, right? So you're dealing with, first of all, how to provide for these people in terms of feeding, right? So their welfare is first. Their safety and their welfare is first. So you've addressed putting them in IDP camps. You've addressed trying to provide food and water to whatever measure this, not just the state, to also the aid agencies, like Save the Children, what's it called, Red Cross and all of those. Thankfully, all of these organizations are on ground. And I really must say that, I mean, God bless these organizations. That's all
they keep coming in.
I was saying that it was when the Gaza-Israel crisis started that I knew that there is the Islamic version of it called Red Crescent. I've never heard. I didn't know. I said, oh gosh, wow. So, it's all of that is covered. But to see that, these agencies are on ground is absolutely a relief, because sad to say, it gives you a measure of comfort that it's not entirely left up to the hands of the Nigerian government, right? But now you have IDP camps, but some of the I won't call them softer issues, but I guess some of the next things that people think about, because naturally in the kind of crisis that we're in the rest of the country, when you hear this kind of story, like you said, the first thing you think of is loss of livelihood, loss of property and all. But there is now the health implication. True. Because what are all these diseases, cholera, diarrhea, all of those types of things now become a problem. When there's no flood, medical infrastructure is already struggling, is already suffering. So now when there is flood, I mean, to see the pictures is just sad. It's shocking, right? In fact, I remember seeing a couple of videos where people were trapped in their houses. So they again, is down to the level of support that people can provide, that the government can provide. So in some places, they were trying to wait for the water levels to recede. So you could see the aid agencies or the government workers in boats throwing bread.
Yeah, I saw that.
Over to the people in their houses, because they couldn't rescue them. They were waiting for the water to recede. I think it's like a story building. They were upstairs and they were throwing food. So, you think about it, comes back to that psychological effect now. You are trapped in your own home. You are thinking that's half of my property because everything downstairs is gone.
Everything downstairs is gone. You're even thinking, will I survive? What happens to my children?
Exactly.
And then your mental state at that point is not even in the right place. And then this other one now happens. So it's just like everywhere you turn, no problem.
Absolutely.
And
in
now,
fact, when you mention children, education too, this happened, of course, we're in September.
So
it was just about as the kids were about to resume. And now, guess what? The schools they're supposed to resume into is where IDP are now staying. So I think the governor was saying how they had the people where the waters had receded and people were able to return to their homes. They were emerging camps so that some schools could be fumigated and children could go back to school. But I'm like, you're not in the frame of mind.
So Uti, another thing I even want to say at this point is, the truth is one thing for people. The things we hear on air are not really the truth. We don't even know if they're supposed to have homes.
That's the thing.
We don't even know
because the cleanup is a massive exercise. When the water dries, what is left behind?
Uti, the quality of the houses, would they survive?
Exactly. Yeah.
Different things, it's just, I don't know.
It's one thing after the other. I mean,
it's, I don't know.
So just looking at that, it just says to me like the statistic that was given around the budget and only 1.2% of that having been utilized.
It was 100 billion for 2024.
For I think 1 point something billion. Yeah. So my point is, again, it's the priority of these things, right? In that dams have a certain process in terms of how you manage dams sometimes. So we're talking right now about the Alao Dam, but we also have the second part of the story, which is the Lagdo Dam. That's the one in Cameroon.
Cameroon that's supposed to...
And to manage that water, right? To manage that dam, Cameroon has started releasing the water. And I know that we've also had flooding in Nigeria as a result of this. I believe it was last year that we had it really bad, either last year or 2 years ago now, that we had it really bad. So the federal government has sort of notified 11 states that we're going to...
Yeah, I saw that last week.
Yes, that the Cameroonian government has said that they will be releasing the water, and this is now going to potentially affect 11 states. So this started about 7 days ago.
Yeah, I know it was last week.
When the federal government said that the authorities in Cameroon had said that they were going to initiate controlled water releases. Now, on the Alao Dam side, I also saw some reports where it was said that the water release was not done, which is what then allowed the dam to eventually burst and to overflow. Yeah. So I wasn't able to validate that or verify that before the show, but again, these are the things where you say the processes that are being put into place. Now, I remember the last time the Cameroonians were doing the water release and there was the flooding. In my mind, I said, okay,
now they have
this
announced.
speaks to preparedness. Because if I know that there is a dam upstream, right? And at some point they're going to water release, it means that this money that was made available in the
should have
budget
been used for something.
now needs to be proactively utilized, right, to protect the surrounding area. So because this, I think, affects the what is it called now? It affects the, I think it's the River Benue. Yes, it affects the River Benue. So all the, or the Benue River and all the, what is it called now? All the states that are around the Benue River are affected, even though I remember that the story was saying that it's not anticipated that there'll be major flooding because the flow levels along the river are still within the cautionary limit. So the affected states are, those 11 potentially affected states are Delta, Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Edo, Anambra, Bayelsa, Cross River, and Rivers. So this cuts right across,
you know, that part.
Nigeria in terms of impacting, you know, that whole sort of, what I call it, the Middle Belt, Riverine, Niger Delta areas as well. So imagine now, right, that, I mean, thankfully we're 7 days in. Today is the 24th.
Yeah, 27 days in.
I don't believe I've heard anything yet.
We've not heard. That's what I'm saying. Nothing has been said.
Yeah.
No, but what we should even hear, what's the reality? We should even hear that. How is it going? You know, we're trying to do this based on what has happened in Borno. You understand? We should see them trying to do something so that it doesn't reoccur. Those kind of things don't even happen again. Because the Borno incident is still very fresh.
It's ongoing, in fact.
You know, it's still very fresh.
Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future.
Yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
So if you just tuned in, it's our Ladies' Night Out, and we're exploring the effects of Nigeria's flooding crisis. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending us an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. Our phone line is also now open. Please call us on 0702-500-7749 or 0701-424-2420. Please do turn down the volume of your TV set so we can have a great conversation. So you were...
Yeah, so I was saying that I haven't heard, nothing has been said about, you understand?
No updates, no updates,
information. No information.
Yes.
Nothing.
And that's where the gap is.
The gap is there. And then something else, the NGOs, you know, the community organizations and the rest of it, because they get fundings, they do. So what are they doing?
The accountability.
The accountability, because you hear them trying to solve problem in other, when you hear something happens outside Nigeria, everybody is rushing, sympathizing. I didn't see that happen.
Social media, hashtags and all sorts.
I didn't see all that happen now. So what exactly, because let's not just leave everything for the government. What are we doing as individuals?
I agree.
Even release from, you know, viewers and all, trying to support donations, different things. What are we doing? We need to begin to preach certain things.
I love it. I love where you're going today. that responsibility cannot be denied, right? Even if it's awareness. I mean, it's just like the story that I took today. This is someone who's taking it upon themselves to raise awareness about, antimicrobial resistance. So it's the same thing here, right? People raising donations, people raising awareness. Again, I tell you, I'm sure that if we go out onto the street now and canvass 10 people, 20 people, if they know what's happening in Borneo, you probably find out they don't know. So it's important that, yes, that responsibility is shared. Because to be honest, we have a huge gap right now in public service information, in what I would say our National Orientation Agency should be doing in terms of sensitizing Nigerians. So in this type of area, ways in which things like deforestation, erosion, how people can really plan and protect themselves against flooding, it's a real key thing that needs to be done.
You see, I think that information is really not being properly. We lack so many things. Growing up as a child, whether you like them or not, you would hear certain stories.
Radio, TV,
you would
hear the jingles.
Jingles and all that. You would hear certain things. But trust me, some things you don't even get to know, because the only things that are trending on social media are things, I don't want to say they are irrelevant or less important, but we need to begin to lay a bit more emphasis on these things so that people are aware and even sympathize, have empathy on these things. I'm sure there are people who have clothes, who have things that are just packed in their homes. They might even want to give it out, but they really don't even know what to do.
Yeah,
with
they
these
don't know
things.
how to help. Yes,
how to help.
You're right.
And then the churches I don't want to...
I mean, churches, to be fair, faith organizations do a lot. I don't want to say just churches. Faith organizations do a lot, but the reach could be better. I totally agree with you there. And I find that just seeing the impact, just like now we know the 11 states that will be affected, and just circling back to that preparedness and planning, these areas, it's not unknown, right? So if I take the Alao Dam, for example, the last major flooding they had like this was 30 years ago. Now, if this had been other climes, from that 30-year period that it happened, there will be protections, there will be plans, there will be things put into place to ensure that should it happen again, there is an infrastructure ready to deal with it. So even that sort of learning from our past experiences.
We don't pay attention to those
There
things.
is a gap there. And I mean, when you talked about NGOs, you're right, there's a lot. If you call a symposium now, plenty of people will come out, everybody will come and sit
even those people that are saying, those activists that come out to say, oh, bad governance, bad this, little things like this.
Rally around these types of things.
Rally around this kind of things. It's not just giving food and posting videos on social media and say you have a foundation, you do this, you do that. Let's see these things work. But guess what? They won't do these things because it might not be publicized. It might not gain the kind of content or attraction that they need.
It doesn't get you eyeballs.
It doesn't,
it's not an interesting topic.
Exactly. Even this... I don't want to begin to call names because it's so... you would expect certain things and then you don't get it. So there's a lot going on that you just begin to wonder, like, is it that this country is divided into several sections or segments and that, you know what, these people are meant to be like this? Now them, they give suffer. And then these other people are... So I don't understand. How does it function? How does it, how does it just... What happens? Is it they just decide today and say, oh, these people can die?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And we continue to hear plenty money, plenty money, plenty money, plenty money, plenty money, and nothing is being done. Okay, so the 100 billion, whatever now, who is accounting for that for 2024?
And I think that it's, when we even talk about accounting, right, I think that a lot of the time when things like this happen and you hear, I feel like it's a get out of jail free card that, oh, budget was allocated. But who is tracking that
it was actually used for what
not even apart is sometimes budget is utilized but it's not used for what it's meant to
exactly
be. But the fact is money is sitting there and you're like, who is even saying this money has not yet been utilized.
They're keeping it now so that if you don't use it, they'll just divert it somewhere else.
Exactly. This is September. So 2024 budget, 2024 only has one quarter left.
Frog will soon swallow it.
They make me laugh. But the truth of it is, right, who is tracking? Because it happens then you say, oh, there was a need and there's money. But
nobody
has done anything about it. But yeah, for me, it was interesting to start to look at to say, okay, what other ways?
They should call people should begin to become accountable for certain things.
Yep.
Who are the people in charge of these things?
Mm-hmm. And it was, so for me, it was like, okay, so if I was just now worried and watching a show like this and thinking to myself, okay, I'm dealing with potential, because if we forget the people who are affected right now by this particular crisis that we're talking about, which are related to dams, in Nigeria today, that's not the only time we face flooding. Even this in our little Lagos, in our little Lekki, all it takes is a little bit of rain and everywhere floods. So there is that idea that I also need to be thinking the area of responsibility that says that if I know that what the government will do is not sufficient, as an individual or as a collective in a neighborhood, what can we do to secure our property, to secure our lives, protect our well-being? So you start to think about, I know that every time rainy season is coming, I don't know if you've noticed, we don't have drainage, we have gutter system. You dig a trench in front of your house, you cast it, the water's not going anywhere.
Because they're debts.
But, no, forget debt. You dug a hole. This glass has nowhere for the water to go. But you put this glass in front of your house, you dig a hole and put it in front of your house, and you say, I have drainage. No, what you have is water storage. So
when you're even talking about cholera and all that, my mind just went, do you know there are certain places, it's not even only flood. There are certain places in Lagos that if you go to, Makuku, if you go there, Uti.
They're sitting inside it.
They're sitting inside and they're breastfeeding children and they're doing plenty things.
Yeah, even going
and they're selling.
Far. I was in Lagos Island on Saturday. So, I love open air markets. I like Lagos Island is one of my happy places. I was in Lagos Island and I remember going into a store, and as is usual, any shop you go into, they would just bring out chair quickly.
For you to sit
down. And then I'd been there for maybe about 30 seconds and what was this smell? And then I looked to my left and looked down and realized that the gutter was actually passing. So what they did was they had just sort of put some blocks around it and covered it, and then it was in the middle of the shop. So the fact is, sewage is another problem. That is another issue. That's a non-existent issue. But the truth of it is, you dig a hole and you cast it and you say, oh, yay, I've done drainage for my house. It's not connecting anywhere. It's not connected to the house next door. So rainy season, you find people, you are driving down the road and you're seeing these mounds of mud on the road because they've done their clearing out of all the dirt and sand and grit.
And guess what? They leave it by the roadside. When it rains
Rain
again,
falls,
it goes back in.
It back inside.
And then they will call those people and say they are paying those people again to come and do the same job.
Oh my God.
So you're paying those people you're paying them every quarter or every month to do the same thing.
Absolutely. I mean, the solution, the solution becomes part of the problem, right? So there's that, right? So there's making sure that whatever your drainage situation is, please, let's even make sure that the gutter that you have dug in front of your house doesn't become a trash bin, and that we're clearing it out, we're cleaning it out. I mean, I remember when we were children, environmental sanitation was always fun. You take your little rake, and you take your little... and you're clearing and you're cleaning.
So I don't know if Nigeria is even improving for going anywhere. I don't know.
Let's just be thinking positive thoughts towards our country. But definitely making sure that you have the right sewage, and if you don't have some sort of interconnected network where your water has a location where the water can drain off, making sure that you have a process for cleaning out those drains. And if it overflows, I know the Lekki standard is that you build your house, the slope driving into your house they build it like how many inches, higher. So you're driving in. So you see people, when the road floods, it's just hitting their gates. Like it just gets to the driveway.
And then you see videos. And the thing is, it happens every year. The same thing happens. They'll make skits. Yes. They'll do videos. Yes. They'll post it. You see people diving and swimming, and nothing is being done.
No. So, the funny part about it for me is that when I look at Lekki is like an anomaly for me because there's water at the back. The ocean is on the front side, right? Or left, right, whichever you want to call it. There's the ocean. There's the inlet. So technically, Lekki shouldn't have a drainage problem because if you had, and that's the other thing, proper town planning and surveying. Lekki now, everybody's developers, people are built everywhere. But town planning is a problem. There's a part of Lekki that houses were built where a canal was supposed to be. So the flooding was horrendous for many, many years until they had to sort of redo the canal system, and then it sort of has alleviated and eased a bit. But the truth of it is, again, proper town planning. You are building a house.
Before they go and get up. They go and get approval.
No, they get up. No. When you say get approval, some people get approval. You can't build a house, at least in this Lekki, before you do 1 week on site. You would have first dealt with the Omoniles.
Before even
then
Lagos State
local government people will now
exactly.
come. Then they will bill you.
So is it that they don't know these things? Why are they being approved? And
they will bill you now. You will pay. You will pay. How much is civil servant salary?
So you will pay, but why are they? So they're supposed to have like the whole structure and map. The
That's the good part. That's what is supposed to happen versus what happens. So that proper town planning, and again, this is where I come to say, it be responsible. If you're going to build a multi-million naira house, you certainly don't want to be dealing with flooding issues. You don't want to be dealing with drainage issues. So there's a measure of responsibility also to how we build houses, to where we build houses. Another major issue in Nigeria is erosion, because we remove trees, we don't plant enough greenery, so water just comes.
And
exactly, all of those places where there are parts of Lagos where you have a lot of red clay, and you just have rainfalls and it washes away. Those are challenges that we face because there are no trees, there's no greenery in place to prevent that land from being eroded. So even in the planting of trees, I know now we favor, what do we call them? Paving stones, interlocking blocks as we call them. We favor paving stones, but the truth of it is there's a reason why you need trees. There's a reason why you need plants, right? They serve purpose. I mean, they clean the air, they give us oxygen.
They use artificial
but but they also add to that that effect of preventing deforestation. There is also the identification of low-lying areas. Like there are some places. So, for instance, in my estate, we have a good drainage network, but when it rains, whilst it's raining, all this sand-filled land, so there's groundwater, so water comes up from the ground. And then after the rain, it sinks back pretty quickly. So you also have to have an awareness of the kind of area that you live in and how your area reacts to rainfall.
In fact, there's my estate, there's what they call Okofili. So, in fact, I was telling somebody, I said the day when erosion
will
reach mainland, you see those people, before they want run, the other
the
houses,
water would have carried them because they are the valley.
They are Uti. They are in the middle and underneath, when it's like, so you're like really on top of them, and then so you can stand and see.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking, who would approve that kind of thing?
I experienced it as a child. So my secondary school was at a junction. It was not till the day that rain fell that we realized that we were in the valley. So the road this way
came like this.
The road this way came like this.
So this would just sink.
And my school was in the middle. So all the water was rushing down this way, just coming down. My school's gate was the last gate before in the peak of the valley. The water was just diverting like the hand of God was pushing it. And to just enter my school, then this was my school's fence. So the water pulled up to my school's fence and started back. My school flooded. My secondary school flooded. Then the water too that was coming this way too now got to my school gates and was just falling into the gates. So it happens so quick. You get rain, very heavy rain. You know the way our rain falls, like 1 hour, and everywhere is flooded. So you see that thing you said? I've seen it happen. There's
Because
a place
you're thinking, I'm just thinking, how would you?
Yeah,
What happens?
Is it Anthony? I think it's Anthony. Where the estates, the houses are like that. You are standing here and you see somebody. You are seeing the roof of somebody's house. It's like they
So
dug.
that if anything happens, this house won't fall.
Yep.
I don't get it.
We live by faith.
And yes, church did it too.
We live by faith.
It's madness. It's just madness, honestly.
Because you just see to yourself that one day, all it takes is the let me not say the right kind of rain, the wrong kind of rain, and, you know, it
see,
just
everything, those really bad ones that can even move houses. You just see houses falling on top of, do you understand? You just see...
We see it in other countries now where mudslides happen and the mud just takes.
I think we're just lucky as a country.
We're blessed.
We're just blessed and
I
lucky.
keep saying it, that God gave us some of the best real estate on the planet. So we take a lot of these things
for granted.
That if these types of things were happening on a regular, no, God loves Nigeria. We
take so many things for granted.
On that, we absolutely really do. But those sorts of plans in terms of understanding where your area is. So if you find yourself living in an area that is prone to flooding, prone to groundwater, or is in a depression or in a valley, having some sort of construction or infrastructure that allows you, even sandbags, like building levees that, you know, if you know that rain is going to fall.
Yeah, so
one thing that
I've
learned, you know, for myself is I check Google weather every day. The weather today, at least now, before we didn't have the information. Now Google is your friend. We have it. So I check every day. So I know that, okay, not only do I check the temperature, but I check, when you're checking the weather, you see there's a tab or a section called precipitation. I check how much rain is going to fall. Is it 2 inches? Is it 2 millimeters? Is it 10 millimeters? So that you're not surprised.
Yeah, what happens?
You plan. I remember earlier in the year, the day of Chioma and Davido's wedding.
Oh, you were not there?
My darling, I left
the
early.
rain. Oh, you left it. Oh, okay. Oh, no. Maybe that's why I didn't see you there.
That day, I was on the show. I go home that day at past 12.
What happened?
The flooding on the island. It was epic.
And it rained like...
It rained. We swam through the water. We waded through the water.
That's kind of water that will be entering your car and be getting into your AC. You can't put on your AC.
I'm telling you, it was bad. It really, really was bad. We have one comment here, and it says, we really take things for granted. We lack planning. We shy away from proactive thinking. It's just sad. It's really sad, though. But we're thankful that we don't experience worse than we do. Because, let's be honest, with the level of unpreparedness that we truly have, it should be worse. So
yes,
for the mercies of God, it should be worse.
We're just lucky.
Yeah,
I keep saying it. We're just lucky.
You know, so it's important that yes, we do have. I think the message that we want to leave is: don't wait for it to happen.
Yes.
Don't wait for the government. Right. We have a responsibility to protect ourselves, our well-being. Yes. Like Mercy and I were talking about the other day, yes, the government has a responsibility for your welfare and your security. But when you know that somebody is going to give you half a loaf of bread and it won't fill you up, you figure out how to get another half so that you yourself are full. So we also have to play our part. The indiscriminate disposing of rubbish that blocks drainages, the building of houses, all of these things are not being done, you know, by the government, right? It's being done by citizens of the country. So we also need to make sure that we do play our part, like we said.
And the government should have a sustainable practice. We know that this is something that is it's sustainable, and it's not only when something happens, they begin to run, And then the NGOs, they should please.
Yep.
You know, let's get to know them. Let's see them do this thing so that we know that we actually have good...
let's get to know them is very important.
Yes, let's get to know them.
Awareness. I know that. So I think one of the things that we've also talked about on the show before is that our NGOs are very fragmented. Like if you are in the UK, you know that if it comes to cancer care, you are talking Mary Stopes. if it comes to, you know, there are known names, Marie Curie. These are all of NGOs that have built that level of awareness. Of course, yes, we don't have that sort of national support, so you find that they're a little in mushroom places, and everybody's trying to do their own little part. But I think that more and more people need to try. You don't have to have an NGO. As a collective, you can do things. You can take a cause and you can raise money, raise awareness for it. So it's a call also to say that as a people, we can be doing a lot more for ourselves.
Social works.
200 million plus people, we should be able to do a lot more for ourselves.
Yeah.
This topic for me is one that I think maybe this is my own project, you know, continue to raise awareness for, because whether it's metropolitan areas, whether it's rural areas, every part of Nigeria is affected in one way or the other.
One way or the other, yeah.
You know, when you think about places where, you know, our food sources come from, you know, going through things like this, we do really need to be aware. We can't be insular and say, oh, I'm in the South, it doesn't matter. You know, these things have far-reaching consequences. When you go to the market and you price something and the price sounds like somebody's, you know, somebody's trying to rob you without a weapon.
These are the causes.
These are some of the drivers. So
yes.
we'll continue to educate.
Please, the 11 states.
Yes, governors of those
states, please.
Local government chairmen, all of the people that are responsible. Now is the time to act, not, you know, when we start.
And these are the things that they should do so that the next election we know they are doing things.
They are doing something.
Yes.
It's interesting. But, I mean, I think that we've done some justice to the conversation today in terms of raising awareness. So thank you for doing this with me. It's been fun. And please, let us all be responsible when it comes to protecting ourselves and dealing with the effects of flooding. Before we go, do ensure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all of our social media engagements. Remember to like, share, comment, invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. If you missed today's quote, here it is. Most floods are caused by man, not weather. Deforestation, levee construction, erosion, and overgrazing all result in the loss of ecosystem services. So we'll see you again tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Have a good evening.
Hey guys, it's Oluchi for Raise Breakfast. Thanks for always tuning in. Our research has shown that you're probably not subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you never miss out on our latest content and stay in the loop with all things Ways. If the channel grows, it means more great content for you guys. So hit that subscribe button now.